Hi, and welcome to the first in a series on creating a strategy for your business. Now, I know you're going to love this because it's going to be packed with lots and lots of different information. And these are really just to get you thinking about a strategy for your business. We aren't going to do anything in depth. We aren't going to do anything that's like massively complicated. Really, all we're going to do is we're just going to talk through a strategy for your business, something that's nice and loose, something that's really easy to implement and you can get going within this week. That's my main aim, is that this will get you up and running as easily and as quickly as possible. So, what is the use strategy? Well, for me, when I built my business, what I didn't realise was that I actually was implementing this without really realising it. What I decided to do was just be as helpful as possible and really just be as engaging as possible. And then what I realised probably around about 2008, this was actually becoming a strategy that in my consultancy business, when I was talking to clients, I was really just getting them to implement everything that I'm going to tell you today or across these 5 videos. And it wasn't really any more difficult than that. Really all I did was just, instead of like thrashing around in the dark, which is what I was doing beforehand, really what I did was I just wrote everything down, and that formed the basis of the Social Marketing Blueprint, which is the overall course, which is the big course that, you know, if you want to take, it's totally up to you. At the end of the 5 series session, you'll get a chance to opt in, or you can move on to the next series of videos. It's totally up to you. But what I wanted to do on this first one was just show you what my strategy is and how it helped me. So, the use strategy, it really is all about 4 things. It's about you being helpful, it's about you being human, it's about you being engaging, and it's about you being available. Now, these 4 pillars, if you like, these really do form the cornerstone of my business and the businesses that I've started. So what we'll do is we'll just go through each one in detail so that I can give you a flavour, an overview of what each one is, so that it'll clarify it for you, if you like. So you being helpful, well, this really is just what it says on the tin, and this was the first thing that I decided to do, and that was really being as helpful as I possibly could to everyone. It wasn't only just my clients or my prospective customers, it was really for everyone, and what I wanted to do was just help them make the right choices. But the big thing for me was that it was being helpful without gain. It's like this series of videos. Really what I want to do is I really want to just help you as much as I possibly can without really any gain. The gain really is for you, because you're going to pick up as much information and as many tips as that you possibly can. And I think that being helpful, well, I don't think I know this, because over the last 15, 16 years it's been proven, once you start to be helpful, that's when you really do become an authority in your marketplace or your niche. It's one of the things, if you don't do anything else, being helpful gets you on the road to being an authority, a guru, whatever. I hate the word guru, but it gets you on the road to being an authority, and that's the main thing. People will actually come to you for help, and that's really what you want. That's the first step. The second step is you being human, and again, this is really just, you know, you caring about what other people think. It's really about being you and thinking about and caring about the relationships that you have with your audience or your tribe. This really is the core of any business, you being human, and it's how you treat your community, how you treat the people around you. That's the main thing. And I think it comes back to along the lines of, you know, you treat people how you want to be treated yourself. So the more you are yourself, the more authentic you're going to be. That's one of the great things. Once you are authentic and once you are just being yourself, then people really are just going to be attracted to you. It really is just a known fact that that's how we work. That's how humans are set up, to trust one another. And you only really get that through being human. And I would guess as well, a lot of your competitors are being really salesy and really pushy, and that's what we don't do. Being human and being yourself is all about really just, like I've said, being yourself. It's nothing to do with being salesy, it's nothing to do with being pushy. It's all about putting other people first, and that's the main thing. The third part is all about you being engaging. And I think it really boils down to two choices when it comes to engagement. You can either sell your content and be dull, be very much, just dull and boring and be robotic. And I suppose that's one of the things about text. It would have been really easy for me to create this series as emails. But I thought that at least if it was video, then the engaging side of it, you could hear my voice, you can see what I do, you can hear the cock-ups that I make, and that's the nice thing about it. That relates back to, again, to being human, because everybody does cock up. You don't want it to be too professional, because people want to know the real you. So when you start to engage people, you really do only have two choices, which is to sell on the dull and boring and just be like every other person who's on the web, or 99% of them. Or you can sell really like a human with passion, and that's the main thing for me. If you sell with passion and your information's good enough, then you're always going to win. So whatever your passion is, whatever your content is, whatever it is that you're selling, as long as that you're being engaging, that's going to be the thing that will sell it the most. As you can see on these pillars, one is building on another. It's almost like stacking them up. Helpful, you're human, and now you're engaging. And the fourth one is you being available. And a lot of people think that you being available is basically being on social channels 24/7, and that couldn't be further from the truth, because basically what happens when you're on 24/7, you'll suffer burnout. And I've seen this so many times, and you'll see it with a lot of your competitors, that what will actually happen is when they try to be helpful, human and engaging, it becomes diluted, or again it becomes robotic. Because what definitely does happen is that if you're on there too much, you do suffer from burnout. Everyone's absolutely shattered. Well, probably the thing that happens the most is that most people are just probably sick of hearing your voice, and that isn't what you want. Leave that to your competitors. Being available just means that you're there at the right time. I'll give you an example. If someone asks me a question on Facebook or Google+, doesn't matter what the platform is, but if someone asks me a question, I tend to look at my 3 or 4 platforms, and that's all I use, 3 or 4 platforms, and we'll touch on this in another video. But I tend to look maybe 3 or 4 times a day, and then I'll answer the question, and that really does get people used to knowing when I'm going to answer, that I'm not going to answer. I haven't got time to be on. I don't have the inclination to be there 24/7, just talking basically about nothing, which is really what your competitors do, and that's the last thing you want to be doing. You want to be your own person, your own business. So being available doesn't mean 24/7. It really just means being, there for someone at the right time, giving the right help and advice, and that's the main thing. So one of the things that I think is just, especially on the availability, keep your social channels down to maybe 2 or 3. Don't have too many. As I said, we'll touch on this in a later video. But being available doesn't mean 24/7, and I know I keep saying this, but that's what kills a lot of businesses, because they're frightened of missing something, and you won't. People will get used to it. So that's really the 4 pillars of the you strategy. The you being helpful, you being human, you being engaging, and you being available. These 4 pillars will serve you really well. And like I've said, if you don't do any of these other courses, and I would seriously suggest that you do, but if you don't do any others, this is the one that counts. That's why I've put it right at the very top. So think about how you can use these 4 pillars within your business. Think about how you can help your clients, how you can relieve a lot of the pain that they're suffering. And that's the cornerstone again of these 4 pillars, is that basically what you're doing is you're relieving a lot of pain and stress that that your clients, your tribe are experiencing, and these 4 pillars will definitely help. So what is your Media Hub? Well, like we've said, your Media Hub is your website, it's your social channels, it's your mobile, and that's really important, and it's also email marketing. Now, I'm really big on email marketing. A lot of people say that it's dead and that social media is taken over from it, but I don't think that's true, because if someone's willing to put their details in to a box and receive your emails, then that means that they're really keen to hear what you've got to say. But what we'll do is we'll go through each one in detail, rather than being like a generalization. So your website, well, one of the things for me with my websites is that all my websites are built on WordPress. And that's one of the things that I did really from the start. But I've tried lots of different things. I've tried Joomla, Drupal, for shopping carts. I've tried Prestacart, you name it, Woo themes, you name it, I've tried it. But I always keep going back to WordPress. And really what you've got to think about WordPress is 18% of all websites are built on WordPress today. And its market share is just incredible. Plus there's a lot of themes and plugins for it. So for me, that's the main reason why I use WordPress. And not only that, for me, it's really, really simple to administer. And that's one of the great things for me. It has to be really simple because even though I've been doing this for a long time, I'm not really that techie. I'm just not. When I ran the website design company, obviously I had guys who were really techie who worked for me. And that was just exactly what I wanted. It wasn't that I could do a lot. I can put a WordPress site together, and I really enjoy putting them together, and I do it for clients still. But I'm not really, you know what I mean. I'm not really that technical, and so that's really what this is aimed at. You know, that it doesn't have to be technical for you either. This is really what the Social Marketing Blueprint program is really about. It's how you implement it into your business using social channels, and that's the main thing for me. It's using the social channels. And I tend to use, well, I think today, I think what happens is, and if you actually follow me on LinkedIn or you've looked at the website, I've done just a short blog post on this as to how many channels that I think you should have. And I think that it's really based on your business, and sometimes the number of it could be dictated by that. And in that, what I mean is, if you've got something like, say, a clothes shop, then something like Pinterest, Instagram, Flickr is going to be really, really important to you because it's visual. Like when I was a professional watercolour artist, that was one of the things that I started off with. I mean, I had my gallery in 1996, and the reason that I got into the web in 96, 97 was basically just to put the images on the web. You know, I took a photograph of them, but it just took too long, and that was the problem. Now with super fast broadband and Wi-Fi, everything being so strong and so stable, fingers crossed, we can do it. So depending on the type of business you have, really think about the type of social channels that you're going to use. I think that would be my sort of recommendation is pick a platform that tells your story, and pick one that tells your story in the best way. So like I've said, Pinterest and Twitter would be really good because Twitter is a fantastic headline platform. When I speak to clients about this, or I do talks on this and seminars on this, a lot of people just don't get Twitter. It's really strange, but think about it. I go back to the analogy when I worked in the newspaper business. Think of it as the front page of a newspaper. So when you look at the front page of a newspaper, it's dotted with headlines and a few adverts. Those adverts that could be replicated into what you do. But think about it as headlines. So it could be, the headline could be dog bites man, man bites dog. Read more on page 2. And that's really what Twitter is really, really good at, given the headlines. But always remember to put a hashtag, a relevant hashtag, and a link back to the source. That's whether it's your website or somewhere else. That's really, really important on Twitter. But think about what your story is. Now, for me, as I say, I've used WordPress, and that's really my media hub, and that's where it comes from. It comes from the media hub, and the analogy again that I use is from my publishing days. Is that everyone now has the chance to publish whatever it is they want. They've got the chance to tell their story, and one of the best platforms for me for this is Google+. I have to say, it used to be Twitter. I used to do headlines and then back to my website, and I still do that on occasion. But I find that Google+ is really engaging. And again, it's Google, and that's what you've got to think of. Once they started to include everything that goes into the stream, onto your wall, whatever you want to call it, on Google+, into the main Google search, that was the game changer. Also, think about Google Places. That's another Google Local. It's fantastic for getting your business out. That's the main thing. Social channel too for me would be YouTube. I use YouTube a lot. I don't necessarily put a lot of my videos up on YouTube, but I use it an awful lot. Again, it's the second highest search engine, and it's over 1 billion users a month now. So, and multiple billions of videos are played every month. So, if you have something again if your business fits the profile of YouTube, then definitely. YouTube is a massive channel. Again, my third channel would be probably I will probably, if I had to be really pressed, I'll probably swap those two around. This would be number 2 and YouTube would be number 3. So I might just change that. But it would be email, because I'm absolutely bonkers on email. And in the main social marketing blueprint program, we go into this in a lot more detail on how you can set up email so that it's really successful, so that you can, attract people to what it is that you do. That's one of the main things for me about email. I just love it. I just think it's one of the best and most inexpensive ways of reaching your target audience. So if you do want to know more about it, and I don't want this to turn into a sales pitch, but consider signing up for the Social Marketing Blueprint program, because we go through it in an awful lot of detail. But they're the 3 really that I use mainly, and most people tend to think, well, that seems a bit strange because, there's LinkedIn, which is a totally business channel, and that's true. And now that we've been given the majority of people have been given the ability to actually write posts on there now, then I think that's another step forward for LinkedIn. I just think there's a couple of changes that they could make to make it into a really, really good channel. I just think there's a few things that they're actually missing. But then again, it's still a good channel. Facebook, I use Facebook quite a lot, but I have to say it isn't really in a business way. And I know that a lot of people find that strange, but I think what was the game changer, the big game changer for Facebook, was when they started charging for ads. That to boost your position or to boost your post, you had to pay. And if you've got a business page, and I recommend that you try it yourself, don't take my word for it, actually give it a try, because it's great to test things out. But if you've got a business page, you'll see that unless you pay to have your post boosted, then generally what you find is that the reach is really, really minimal, and it's only going to get less. So think about that. The third one is mobile. And I just can't understand why people just don't use mobile more. A lot of the sites that I see, especially for clients, just aren't mobile friendly, and they've got to be. There's just no other way around it. It's got to be mobile friendly. If you're not really sure, then just pull out your mobile, tap in your web address, and have a look and see what your website looks like. Because this is the number 1 way that people actually look at your website, at your content. I think it was 2012 or 2013, something like 65% of all websites accessed were accessed through a mobile device. So that's like a Chromebook, an iMac, a tablet, and a smartphone. So it shows you how really, really important this is. I mean, it is one of the major things. So think about mobile. Think about even using apps within your business, because that's something else. The strategy of apps, I think we're only really in the infancy of apps. Even though there's millions of them about, it really is only the infancy, and I think we're only limited by our imagination. So for me, if you haven't got a mobile strategy, then again, I don't want this to turn into a sales pitch, but again, we covered it in a lot more detail within the program. So think about it if it's something that you're really interested in and you don't really know that much about. And again, like I've said, this is my favorite one, email marketing. I just can't understand why people don't do email marketing. Like I've said earlier, I just think this is a fantastic way to reach a targeted audience. I use Aweber for my email broadcast engine. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, there's lots of apps that you can put onto it. Aweber Pro, which I think is about $20 a month, which segments everything. It's a fantastic program, but if it's something that you just want to dip your toe in, then something like MailChimp is really good. The only thing that I would say about MailChimp is be really careful on what you do and how you do it. And the reason I say that is because I've known quite a few businesses that have been banned off it. They've just been taken off just because they've contravened the law. It's a bit like Facebook that way. You've got to be really, really careful. But email marketing to me is such a targeted channel, if you like, of getting to your audience. It's fantastic. And one of the things I think is what's really overlooked is the way that people craft the newsletters or their email responses, their email broadcasts. And I think that's such a pity, because probably a good 80 to 85% of the emails that I get are all selling something, but they sell it in such a bad way. And I think that's the other thing. I think probably what I'll do is, and I've been thinking about this for a while, is just having a standalone program all about email marketing, and probably encompassing something like webinars, because webinars, again, is something that I just love holding. And if you don't do it, it's something that you can do really, really easily. If you want to know more about email marketing and you want to know more about webinars, then just add a comment into the box below. That would be fantastic, and just tell me what it is that you like. And that's the same for all of these. You know, if there's anything that you're interested in, anything that you want me to cover, then just drop a comment into the boxes below. It is Facebook, but that comes to me. It comes to my personal account. And if you do want to follow me, by all means, you know, I'm not I don't just click everybody, and I would suggest that you don't just click everybody either. You know, don't just follow anybody on any platform. I think that's a strategy, again, that's overlooked. People think that it's a numbers game, and it's not. It's by far the worst thing that you can do. Don't just follow people and let people follow you just because you want a high number. That's the worst thing you can do. It's definitely quality over quantity, without a doubt. Now, a lot of people that have looked at this video series so far have commented on my use of high impact, really creatively done slides and graphics. Now, what I've got to tell you is it isn't something that really, I have to say, interests me that much. When it comes to keeping everything on track, really what the slides are for is to keep me in check, to stop me wandering off the subject. I don't use anything high tech, and I suppose this is one of the great things about this sort of video series, is it isn't me from some big fancy house because I don't have one. It isn't me standing in front of an Aston Martin because I don't have one. I would love to have one, and maybe one day. What this does, this shows you how it's really easy just to set up something like this, something that's really easy to do, really easy to create. If you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be. I've got videos where I am, I've got videos where I'm not, and I've got ones that are really low tech like this one. This can be really, really simple. It can be as creative and as complicated as you like, or it can be as basic and as low tech as you like. And this one's really basic and really low tech. So when it comes to content just doesn't cover blog posts and what you put out on updates and things like that. Basically, what content does, it's everything. Every piece of content that you put out, it's really got to do what it says on the tin. It's got to help your audience, your tribe, and hopefully that's what I'm getting across on these videos. So why is content so important? Really, like I've said before, content is so important because this is the first step that people will see before they actually engage with you, before they buy anything off you, before they even want to do any business with you. Content, that's why it's so important that your content is really on the nail for your tribe, your audience. And I think one of the things that I know that a lot of marketers, a lot of people who do this online, and a lot of businesses who do this online get this so wrong, is because they trot out the same old crap day after day, week after week, month after month, and it's usually, you can probably look down your emails and you'll see so much crap that comes in. It's incredible. It's the same old thing, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. So what is a content strategy? And a lot of people are really struggle with this, and I've got it distilled down into 3 simple categories. Content strategy is your content, which we've talked about before, and how good that really needs to be. It's all about your community and how you make it right for your community, how it resonates with your community, because if you're not really touching any pain points for your community, then your content it's way off the mark. So for community, this really has to resonate for it to work really, really well. So your content has to be well thought out. The last one is marketplace. So a marketplace, in that means it could be that you're selling stuff online, it could be that you're selling stuff offline, you've got a brick and mortar business, you've got an online business. Your marketplace is your marketplace, and that's the one big thing I think about this. Is the marketplace is going to be the smallest of the 3. Your community is going to be the biggest, but your actual marketplace is going to be the smallest. Your marketplace are the people that buy things off you. That's always going to be the smallest, so don't worry about that too much. So create engaging content that follows the you strategy, and this is really important. But to create engaging content that follows the you strategy is really, really important. I suppose content marketing, it's really just targeted storytelling. By that I mean it's material written. And this can mean photos, videos, anything, just the same as things that I'm doing here, podcast, with the intention of advancing your business agenda in some way or another. Now, remember, when I say business, that can be, like restaurant, it can be shoe shop, it could be anything. Whatever applies, That's really what counts. But the thing about content is it does have to advance your agenda in some way or another. It's not really a major obstacle if you think about it. But what I say time and time again are people creating content that doesn't help them build a business. Instead, it's like a creator treading water. And you'll see things like, oh, I haven't blogged in 2 weeks, so I had to put something out. That's one of the things that you shouldn't do. I mean, can you imagine the BBC saying, oh, we haven't sent anything out for a couple of weeks, so we better send something out? It just wouldn't happen. And it shouldn't happen to you either. That's one of the things that I'm really, really sort of, passionate about, is that it's got to be really, really good content. And like I've said, the content marketing really is just targeted storytelling. And I've said and done this for years. And one of the things about targeted storytelling is that to a lot of the people who are on my list, on my email list, I probably give away 90% of what I do for free, because my blog's free. A lot of this is free. This video series is free. And that's the way to do it, because if it's targeted storytelling and you are telling people what to do, how to do to relieve their pain, then that's where it really resonates with them, and that's what it pushes you to another level of being an authority in your niche or your marketplace. The other thing is, what is good content? In fairness, a lot of people really do get this wrong. I think one of the things about good content is that you never push someone away who's helpful to you. That's one of the things about content. Content can really push people away really, really quickly. But great content is often interesting and entertaining as well. I mean, I get lots and lots of links sent to me every week, probably every day. And a lot of the links, I don't know, they just, the content is so weak and it's so diluted. It doesn't really hit the target audience. And it's one of the things, obviously, as a consultant, as a social marketing consultant, that I help clients with. And that's one of the things this video series is meant to help you. Really what you've got to do, you've got to think about and create amazing content, because if you don't, your tribe are going to wander off, your audience are going to wander off to somewhere else. And that's one of the things that you really, really don't want. I think amazing content can be used whether or not the person intends to buy what you're selling. And that's one of the things, because it doesn't have to be, a sale all the time. And most people think that's the way, that's great content, buy my stuff. And it's just not. I think if you're not signed up to it, one of the things that I think is really, really well done and really well put together is HubSpot. Now, I think the marketing grader that HubSpot puts out, it gives you some really useful information whether or not you choose to purchase what they're selling, and I think that's the most important thing. They give you it anyway. It's like I said before, 90% of content is given away free. You're not ultimately pushed to buy, so have a look at HubSpot. HubSpot's really, really good. Lots of really good information in there. If you've never seen it, have a look. But the thing for me is this scenario is a win-win every time, because not only are you giving fantastic content out, but you aren't charging for it. If people want to buy your stuff, if your stuff's good enough, if the content's there, if the content resonates, then people will buy it. One of the things that I see people that they definitely don't do is they don't map their content's intent. Now, I'm just going to skim over this, because this is something that I do cover in the Social Marketing Blueprint program. And obviously this just going to take too long to go through it in this short video. But if you're going to map your content's intent, really you've got to have a list of elements. And to me, you've got this list of elements, this list of it's a content checklist, if you like. You've got to think about this when you're actually marketing your content. So this is just a quick checklist. The desired next actions are: what do you want people to do? Do you want them to sign up to a list? Do you want them to buy something? Do you want them to be brand ambassadors? Think about what the next action is when people arrive at your site. Subject matter to match those actions. This is where the targeted storytelling comes in. Tell a story on how this can help your client or your tribe or your audience. It's also got to be subject matter to enrich my community. Simple storytelling. It doesn't have to be anything, like this. It doesn't have to be anything major. Just something that pulls them in. And then there's got to be the method of delivery, which is, like video like this. It could be email marketing. It could be Facebook updates, LinkedIn updates. The good thing about it is just using these 4 elements, you can map your content out and think about this with marketing and business making in mind. But you can really get strategic on top of this tactic. And I think that's one of the things, is thinking about it strategically. And what I would do, and what I do myself, is I think through a whole month of content across nearly all my assets that I have. And it's just a bit of an idea. And I'll use myself as an example. So for me, desired next actions could be subscriptions to the newsletter, more followers on social channels, and more sales. As an internet marketer, that's pretty much what I would want. What I would do on subject matter to match those actions, which is number 2, is interviews, how-to pieces, teaser materials, and probably video content like this. This is a fantastic way of getting it out. Number 3, subject matter to enrich the community. This will be posts about great people in the community, posts introducing the community to other people, and that's one of the great things about this, is that you can use this to promote other people, and that makes you look really good. That pushes you to being an authority quicker than anything else. Method of delivery, which is basically just the assets, is the newsletter, my blog, videos, ebooks, social channels. They're the assets that I use, and that's what you've got to use. So think about content, think about strategy, think about delivery. They're the 3 things that's going to get you to an authority quicker than anybody, quicker than anything else. What it's going to do as well, it's also going to increase your magnetism, and magnetism is something that a lot of people think that you've got, that, oh, I don't have magnetism, people don't follow me in great numbers. And that's actual rubbish. What you've got to do is you've got to think about your magnetism, and maybe in another video we can go through that, through magnetism, what your superhero power is, intrinsic value, all that type of thing. If that's something that you're interested, again, just pop it in the box below, and I can sort out a short video on that. But what I want you to do, and what I want you to try every week or every day that you do it, is think about what is good content, because that reflects everything that you do. It's a fantastic strategy to get into what is good content. That's why I've left this slide on this screen for so long. This slide has been up longer than any of the others, and that's something that you've really got to think about. What is good content? Don't settle for second best. One of the things that I often say to clients is, don't let good stop you from being great. And content does, because that's the first thing that people will see of you. So that's it for this video. I hope you've really enjoyed it. I hope you've found it really interesting. The strategy is one of the things that most businesses just don't look at. They set up an account, they start putting out updates. What I would suggest is you go through this video again, you go through it, have a look at it, have a think about it, take notes. Once your strategy's in place, once you know exactly what it is that you're doing, then it's going to be so much easier. So I really do I want to impress on you as much as I possibly can that this is just how vitally important this is to any business. But in the next video we'll discuss how you can build a social presence, and that's really something, again, that's really vitally important. But if this is something that you're really interested in, click the button below and have a look at what I have to offer in Social Marketing Blueprint Program, because this covers everything that we do in these 3 videos in greater depth. Any comments you want to leave, by all means just leave them in the boxes below, and I'll see you on the next video.